All right, everyone, welcome to the Hurley Investments Market View Commentary for Monday, the 2nd of, what are we in, December? We've got two more of these left, and then we will be done for the year. I'm going to see if my other internet has come back on. It has not. So we're going off of the cell phone today. With that said, I had an interesting look at the recap. In the recap, November came across at a 3.4% return, but 1% came in Friday. So here we sat for the whole month, and all of a sudden, the last day, we basically got we basically got a third of our returns in the last day. For most of you, you can look and you had somewhere between 4.5% to maybe as high as 10%, depending on how overweighted we were in Disney, Apple, Visa, Facebook, Disney, Apple, Baidu. Oh, there was a fifth one there that, for crying out loud, I can't remember. But this got me thinking a little bit. And it got me thinking about the collar trade. And in all honesty, when we think about the collar trade, right? What's the hardest part of being in a collar trade? What's the biggest struggle of being in a collar trade? Thanks for your comment, Bill. I just caught that one. What's the struggle with a collar trade? There you go. The timing. But the collar trade takes the timing out. So, Lance, go a little bit farther. What's the struggle with a collar trade? And you're right along the lines of timing, but go a little bit more on that. David, you never know when a stock's going to pop. Exactly right. Mary, you have to be patient as you're picking up shares waiting for the stock to move. Bingo. Lance, you going to give it a shot? Patience sucks. You just wish they'd always move straight up. I wouldn't have expected anything less from you, Lance. You and Bill, by the way, are kind of made from the same mold, just as a heads up. Yeah, I mean, November was an awesome month. But it was way more awesome for some of my clientele because I had some that were up 10%, some that were up 6%, some that were up 5, 4.5. It was a really good moving month. But we've had to wait for it. And so the question is, if I can grab this down, in collar trading, do you have the patience to wait for your returns? Now, in waiting for your returns, you get to lower the cost basis of your shares. You get to add shares, 100% paid for by long put profits. And sometimes they're not always 100% paid for. You get the protection to sleep at night, knowing you won't lose half the portfolio overnight. You have a less volatile portfolio that is not letting it all ride. And in all honesty, this kind of makes all the difference for me. It's not too often that you'll hear your money manager say, I don't know it all. And because I don't know it all, I'm not going to take a guess. With that said, if I can share a little story that happened to me today, I'm out in Houston right now. Bill, I'm going to set a time to go meet you and your wife. Hopefully this weekend, beginning of next week, I'll give a call and we'll talk to each other. But I'm out here once again. Parents are going to go through some surgeries. Knee replacement, going to be in there a couple days. Going to cut out some bone and bone marrow from my dad and try to remove some cancer for him. It's a busy week. One more time, I'm sleeping from, probably 9:30 till 3. I sometimes get texts from Kiev, Kevin, I think you got to wake up. Our stock market's not behaving. And we sat and talked for an hour and a half, Kiev, Jeff, and I, just going over what the heck our market is doing today. And it reminded me of an article that I had that just so happened to relate to my daughter today. It's from Jeffrey Kearns. It's titled Why I Won't Pay for Club Volleyball. And my daughter today got woken up at 6 o'clock. We took her all the way to the college and the gymnasium. And she was just acting like a little pistol, is the best way to say it. And when it came down to it, I'm on the phone with her at 7 in the morning. Hey, been up all night, have a sleeping schedule so I can stay at a hospital. Half on your gymnastics. She's like, I don't want to be there. I'm this. I'm too tired. It's Monday. I'm this. She has 12 more practices till a pretty important meet for her. And we're always weighing as parents, are we pushing her into something that maybe she's not ready for, or is it truly something she loves? So to make a long story short, she got out, she slammed the door, and I heard it slam. It kind of pissed both my wife and I off. I'm on the phone with my wife, and I said, call her back. And we called her back, and I said, I don't like the attitude. And she's like, well, you're not here, and you don't have to do it. And so I said, drive off. She doesn't need the practice. In fact, for the amount of money that we pay for her as a little 10-year-old to go to a college coaches, to be taught her gymnastics, the money we're paying for tournaments and everything, it upset me. And I pulled her from her gymnastics. She was crying all the way home. Oh, I'm not going to be good enough. I'm missing gymnastics. And I was like, with your pissy little attitude right now, I don't care. And you miss the picture. This article, if you can read it, in fact, I'm not going to go over all of it, but the short answer is it's a pretty interesting article on all the things that a father wants to explain to his daughter on why he has her in club volleyball. And it comes down to, it's not the club volleyball I'm paying for. I'm paying for the time and conversation with a teenage girl on the way to and from practice. I pay for the smiles and sense of purposes and playing club volleyball provides you. I'm paying for the lifelong memories from traveling, going to new places. Well, let's get this out of the way. With me, I pay for you to experience new cultures, food, and cities that we experience by traveling to tournaments. I pay because it's clear that the volleyball sparks your life, passion, and sense of pride. I pay for guiding and helping. I pay for help in guiding you down the right path. I pay because volleyball reinforces the life lessons about hope, compassion, hard work, and commitment to yourself and others that your mom and I have taught and continue to model for you. And in all honesty, most of you have come to me through an education. Most of you have come to me with some frustrations and previous money managers, previous education, things that just don't work. And in real life, the stock market, for crying out loud, just doesn't always work. It's not on our timetable. It's not an ATM. There are times for drawdowns. There are times for mistakes. There are times for ridiculously great gains. It's pretty neat to see a portfolio go from 815 up to 881. It's pretty neat to watch a portfolio go from 990,000 up to $1.128 million. And those are my successes with you guys. Those are the time frames when we get to sit back and be excited. And then you come into something today like Boeing. And you get the alert that it's crossed below. For me, it crossed below 362 and I got woken up and I had to watch it at 360. And went all the way down to 355. And I sat here and I got worried about it. For some people, that's a lot of their gains are sitting in Boeing. And at 360, long puts should have been triggered. But they weren't today. And the question is, are we going to go all the way back down to 335 or are we going to get a bounce back tomorrow? I'm now to the point when we had a month like yesterday. I'm now at the point when we had a December like last December, that it starts to become a little more apparent that you've got to be nimble and you got to make sure you're not giving up all of your profits or gains. Now, if you go through, this is just because the FAA is going to go meet in front of Congress again. So the president of the FAA can get a bunch of dumbass questions asked to him by a bunch of dumbass politicians in a dumbass chamber about things they have no clue to understand. No clue what the hell they're asking. That someone in their committee suggests you should probably ask this. And most of them are going to go on some platform or rant and rave about how much they hate Trump and how Black Lives Matter and something completely unrelated to the FAA and why they allowed Boeing to go ahead and move or pass their MAX machines, right? That's what it's supposed to be about. That's what it's come down to. And yet again, we're going to go off on some weird tangent, and it's just ridiculous. So what I'm suggesting to you in your own portfolios, we probably do have some significant upside potential, but you might want to start protecting just to get through individual stock risk and the fact that we might not have a China deal and tariffs might go into effect on December 15th, which, if I understood right, that's a Sunday. So we're going to hit the market on December 16th and maybe hit some tariffs. Will our market like that? Most definitely not. In fact, we hit France with some tariffs. And, God bless Donald Trump, but I wish he would just, I guess it's so important sometimes to speak your mind and prove that you're right, that I wish sometimes we could just muzzle our president. But with that said, hey, if you're going to hit and tax some of our major U.S. Technology companies, I'm going to hit you guys with about $2.4 billion worth of products that we can tariff to make up for your taxation on Google, Apple, Facebook, and Amazon. Really, it hits about 30 of our companies and maybe 30 other countries' companies. But it's pretty interesting because we got hit with some tariffs that for all intents and purposes we're now putting on other countries, and it's a tit for tat. Now someone just we'll combine that with the poor manufacturing numbers. In all honesty, they were already below in a contracting. Historically, manufacturing does contract. They've already made all their stuff for Christmas, and this is where you get some turnover and so forth. So yes, ISM came in at 48.1 versus a 49.4. Construction spending for a second month in a row came in at negative 0.8 instead of a positive 0.3. But the last part of the comment was made, this might not be such a good month. Historically, and you got to love that word, right? Historically, this month is one of my favorite months because it's usually a 1.6% gain. So let me ask some of you guys, if I was to send a poll question out to you guys, I'm going to launch a poll question at you. Where will the S&P end December at? 3,200 plus, 3,179, 3,114, which is right where we're at, 3076 or 3011. Where are we going to end? Go ahead and click on one of those. You guys all should be able to see it. Click on where you think you're going to have us end at. Couple of us right now. Going through. Bill Branner says the click is not working. No, because I made you a panelist, Bill. So where are you going to end up being? There are 14 of us here tonight. Bill, I made you a panelist, so you just tell me. Wow. 3179. Pretty amazing. I'm going to give you guys 10 more seconds. Where are we going to end this up at? All right. Pretty interesting. Out of 8 of you, not counting Bill, 3179 and 3114, right where we're at. Pretty interesting that that's where we came up with it. That's where we decided we were going to be. Kevin, where did you come up with those numbers? I'm doing nothing more than using the pivot points on the S&P 500. 3179 would be about a 1.6-ish, closer to a 2% gain. 3114 is right where we're at. I went down to the 3011, which is the S2, and 3031 was the 50-day simple moving average. I'm just kind of taking ideas. 3076 actually was the 1 standard deviation down. I'm just using the most recent pivot points to come up with these numbers. But it was a rather horrific drop. Even though we're still bullish, it was a pretty big down day, which for me, I was confused on. 100% honesty here, it didn't make sense. Today, didn't make sense because first trading day of the month. What usually happens the first trading day of the month? Bill, you would have broken the tie to the upside. 5 people saying hi to the upside, 4 people saying download right where we're at right now. What happens the first day of the month? There you go. New money comes in, right? From CNBC, pretty interesting. I took a couple notes here. All 11 sectors up for the year. What else did I take here? Oh, pretty interesting. 214. So that's not right. Where is it? Ooh, I don't have it. How could I not have that? Should be like 411 stocks higher in 2019 on the S&P 500. Last year in 2018, or actually stocks up since 2018 is only 174. So rather interesting. For this year, Fed is not tightening. For this year, we believe the global economy is bottoming, except the United States, right? And we have a trade war truce. So we have a lot of reasons that are pushing our markets higher. I still think that's the way we're going. And portfolios were set up amazingly last month to have an end of the year run or an end of the year Christmas rally. If you were to ask me where I think we're going to finish, I'm close to that 31.79. Give us another 2%. We might get 3 to 4 to 5% with a China truce, but I think we're going to give some back. The market feels toppy and the way that market action is going right now. With that said, if you ask me where we're going to end the rest of the week, I would tell you bullish. We had that little pullback that cleared us room, in all intents and purposes, to move back higher. We've lowered the difference or the deviation between the 50-day and the actual price of the markets. Not only that, but we did it on a big enough scale for the S&P that I like where we're at. It doesn't mean we might not see one more day tomorrow. But if we see a third day on Wednesday, I'm going to start adding some protection. Where will the S&P end 2019? I'm saying up 1.6%. In all honesty, that's going to be closer to 2% when I work my numbers. Earnings, Marvel and Salesforce on Tuesday. Sportsman's Warehouse, 5, Campbell Soup. Dollar General on Thursday, Kirkland, Kroger, Tiffany, AOBC. I've got a bunch of people in that we're trying to add on our protection today for the long puts. Ultra, Beauty Salon, big companies, Nesco on Friday. It's an average work week, so Wednesday we'll have ADP employment. We'll have our average work week numbers on Friday. International, I didn't see anything that stood out. Again, if you were to ask me how I'm looking to trade, going long into the end of the as for things I wanted to point out to you, I got a serious giggle out of the Tesla Cybertruck tug of war, excuse me. Just on a towing capacity, if they wanted to put apples to apples, Ford should kick their butt. It's pretty funny that they had their little, for all intents and purposes, it was free advertising for Ford. Musk really looked like an idiot when it comes down to it, throwing ball bearings through the windows of his car. I don't know where I'm going to get off saying this and if it's right, but I really do struggle with seeing that they've got 250,000 pre-orders already for their truck. I just don't see it. FAA says it again, Boeing's not ready for certification. Just an article because Boeing was hit so hard today, just an article to take a peek. But I do think they're close. We'll find more as the FAA has its again, as it sits in front and has to speak to Congress. A record Black Friday. In all honesty, record sales all the way across the board made it even more confusing to understand why we were down today, why we saw retail down on certain degrees and certain points. Shocking to see Walmart down and Target down on amazing sales where all across the board, those were some of the winners. Again, one more time, Powell says the Fed is strongly committed to 2% inflation goal. I've got that here written for you. And a little interesting article on Charles Schwab broke one of Warren Buffett's biggest acquisition rules. With that said, I don't know if you guys knew, but Warren Buffett for the last decade has vastly underperformed the market, which I found that pretty interesting. That Buffett would vastly underperform the market when it's, for all intents and purposes, he's pretty, most people consider him kind of the king in that area. All right, a report from the Institute of Supply Management showed U.S. manufacturing. Yeah, it's again, Ida, we already knew manufacturing was contracting. It is 4 months. Even the estimate was a contraction estimate at 49.4. And it really should contract for the next 2 months as well. It won't pick up again until February, if not March. So pretty interesting because, again, I just didn't see how that one ISM manufacturing, when we already had it in contraction territory, and, you know, it's a little bit more in contraction territory to 48. It's just a survey. I get what you're saying, but I still, for all intents and purposes, I still just don't get it. It doesn't justify the move today that we saw in our stock market. I know it's something easy to point to. Where am I trying to find it? Monday, December 2nd. They do list it as a red, right? that it's some of the more important things that are happening. Technically, China's could have been more important, but I'm just a little shocked at Monday, December 2nd. Looking for a contract. This is all old. It's just been down. I just didn't get it. You know, I don't know. I didn't get it. That's my best answer for you. I just didn't get it. I know it's I don't know. I guess I'm just a little shocked. One, two, three, 4, 5 months in a row. I don't know. I scratched my head on this one is all I'm going to say. All right. Sorry I'm taking so much long here. Questions. What questions do you have for me? What questions can I answer for you before I let you go for the evening? Ooh, Lance is taking a jab at me. Kevin, maybe you should focus and spend more time studying the economic reports. And Lance, very politely, and I know you're saying that in jest, just because I know you like to get my goat. But the short answer is, in all honesty, because I spend so much time on it, when you go to an ISM manufacturing, personal spending and personal income should mean much more. Pending home sales should mean much more. Someone just typed in on housing and building permits. There's a lot of other economic reports, GDP, which came in at a 2.1 instead of 1.9, that's so much more important than an ISM manufacturing. That I'll be honest with you. I wonder if some people have some backlash or memory from last December. Last December was pretty ugly. I mean, to be 100% honest with you, last December sucked until after Christmas. And after Christmas, everything took off again, and we were off to the races. But again, that didn't happen till Christmas Eve. And it was, for all intents and purposes, it was, a rather shocking, ugly looking December. And the funny thing is, I'm pretty sure we were, only down, or our pullback was only down, 10.1% intraday, 9.9. It wasn't even a true correction. Could it be the fear of the idiot Pelosi and crew? It could be. It definitely could be. They're obviously not going to work with Trump. As I said last week, pretty idiotic to present a Hong Kong bill to get it passed. I do wonder, again, coming back to Trump, for him to say, well, I don't think it should cause a problem with our trade negotiations. You kind of want to look at him and go, really? I mean, I guess to a certain degree, he's going to say it only hurts Hong Kong. We're not going to sell them, tear gas and rubber bullets. I don't know. Little confusing, but a little getting ready to do more protection if needed. Just because I don't want to see some gains evaporate. With that said, nice to see Apple bounce off of 264. 180 active support for Visa. I was going to say Facebook 200, but I think it actually finished at 199.99. So 200 didn't exactly act as support on Facebook. Actually closed at 190.70. 150 was support for Disney, bounced off of it. So pretty important. Please do a chart on Roku and comment on bullish or bearish. Very bearish on Roku. It is so overpriced based off of what it really does. And all it was a downgrade on Roku today. It wouldn't surprise me if Roku could go all the way down to 103. It's 200 day. And my whole commentary on that comes down to nothing more than just looking at its fundamentals. I haven't traded Roku. I have not been in Roku, but sales almost $1 billion. Income is negative. Earnings for the next year, next quarter are expected to come in negative. Earnings quarter over quarter negative. Insider transactions negative 38.88. People are selling it off. Return on assets, return on equity, return on investment, operating margin, profit margin. I haven't understood why it's taken off. Fundamentally, they're not sound. We don't even have a legitimate PEG PE ratio for it yet. Roku is a fad like Crocs. And the fundamentals don't justify in any way, shape, or form a price at 160, 136. I could see Roku going down to at least 103, if not $50. So it's kind of hard to see all its growth and all its sales when it's a hardware company. It's a commodity. This would justify iPhones and Apple being $1,000 stock. So I just don't see it. I haven't been in. I will tell you, you have a float right now that is asking for a huge rally. Anytime the short float gets in that 2 to 3.5% range, you got a 12.87% float. I don't know if I've ever seen such a high float, but I don't know. I still think you're going to see a pretty good bump down farther to 103 as at a minimum. And I think this thing's going to fall like a rock. You'll get a dead cat bounce, and then you might see it go down to 75 to 50. And that's just based 100% on fundamentals. That makes no sense why anyone would be on Roku. Definitely due to its fundamentals. So there's my comments on Roku. Good question. Any other questions? Call a book to share a cash value, $7 at geez. There is nothing I like about Roku except for its average volume. Which just goes to show there's a lot of dumb money in the market. All right, guys. Hey, appreciate you being here. I'm going to run on you. You guys have an excellent evening. I will see you tomorrow for a trade findings and adjustments. And I don't think we've got anything left. We had a pretty good run on Target that we would have gotten out on. I don't think there's any open trades that we're in except for Activision. Right now we have Key working on Activision, and I'll put him on Thursday morning, so he can work on Activision while I go to sleep. Guys, have a wonderful evening. I will talk with you again tomorrow evening, and until then, let's see if we get a big bounce on our market. Good night.